Okay.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another Minisode video episode of the MFR Coaches podcast. I am super excited today. I have Tara Clemons from Entouch Holistic Therapy. She is an OTR and she is located in Sandpoint, Idaho. Welcome. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you. It's so good to be back.
It's so good to see your face. I was just telling you before we started recording, like how much I miss people when they're not in coaching and how much I'm always like, I wonder what's happening. Like, what's going on with everybody? So this is really fun for me.
Yes, I feel the same way. I miss your face. It's different when I get on Instagram and I see your videos, but being face to
Yeah.
face,
Yes.
even better.
Have you been seeing all my silly reels?
Yeah, I watch them.
Uh,
They're only like a few minutes long and I'm like, hey, no, I want to hear more.
I love it. Well, good. I love that. I was giving you some little sound bites. That's so fun. Well, why don't you tell everybody kind of what is going on with you? Maybe you could give us a little glimpse into like what it was like before you came to coaching and like what's happening for you now.
Okay. So I've been in practice for about almost 3 years now. And I started out working in an outpatient clinic as an OT doing traditional therapy and basically trying to behind the scenes, like squeeze in as much MFR as possible. Um, Almost in a sense of like not wanting to get caught, like just feeling nervous about like, oh my gosh, are people going to figure out what I'm doing? And so it was just like, it came to a point where I was like, I'm ready to go and start my own practice. So I did. And it was very freeing to finally take that leap. But it was a bit challenging because the first year I was basically just starting from the ground up on my own. My mom had opened up a business. She's opened up a couple businesses before. So she was probably the closest thing I had to a coach. But yeah, it took me a good year to really just get my website going, to start seeing. I think when I started getting coached from you, I had about 6 clients a week at the time. And a couple of them I was seeing a couple times a week. But I just really had no, I didn't have a lot of, I wasn't business savvy. I didn't have a lot of education around how to even start a business, but I went for it anyway, because I knew I just needed to get this work out there. And the clients I was seeing in outpatient, they were just getting really good results. So I remember I was at a fascial pelvis seminar in Vancouver. And at the end of the course, I remember I went into my car and it was pouring rain outside, and I wasn't heading home for like another day. And I just typed in the search engine in podcasts, I typed in MFR, myofascial release, and you came up. And I literally sat there in my car for about 3 hours and just listened to, I think it was like 3 or 4 of your podcast sessions.
That's so funny.
And it was just inspiring. I felt like it was like the thing that I was longing for, that I was really struggling to just get things going to get in terms of like marketing. I was spending so much time and energy in areas, and I wasn't getting the results.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Like to just even know to search for it and then to have it pop up. I mean, I remember struggling in my business or like not, just like feeling kind of alone and overwhelmed and like wanting, knowing that it would be okay. Like I could make it however I wanted, but it always seemed really lonely. And there's just like no direction to go in, I guess. And I wanted that podcast, and I want all of my content to be the thing that I always wanted that I never had. So I just love knowing that like you were able to just Google it and like it came up and it like filled you up for 3 hours and, gave you hope that you could do the things you wanted to do and you felt inspired. Like that's like, every interview I'm doing, like, I feel like I'm just gonna like start sobbing. Oh, like it's so, it's like overwhelming in like the best way. My body doesn't know how to process it, but it's like, it's so cool. Like all of the labor and like the labor of love that this business has been is like, it's helping people. And I like I love hearing that. So
Yes. Yeah, it is. And I don't think that I understood the depths of how much it was going to help me on so many other levels,
mhm.
as a practitioner, but just in my personal life. I've done 3-month coaching sessions with you.
Mhm.
And and obviously it's something like, it almost feels like it's like some sort of like, I don't know, like it's becoming like my religion in a sense, like in terms of just like the thought work,
Yeah. Yeah.
like it really is like as soon as I'm feeling like, the feelings that come up that we all have in terms of self-doubt, in
Mhm.
terms of, having those days where you're feeling really vulnerable and feeling like, oh, do I really know what I'm doing? I mean, I don't care how many seminars I go to, I still have those feelings that come up. And it's just knowing that I have this foundation now to fall back on. And
Yeah.
it really comes down to like this belief, like the belief work behind it. And, really looking at like, my thoughts. What are my thoughts today? What are
Mhm.
my feelings today? And how am I creating this? And obviously I can go like into spirals and, in certain weeks, but it's like I can catch myself now. And I
Yeah.
have like these are amazing lifelong like tools.
I love
So
that so
I just
much.
am so grateful.
Well, I'm grateful that you're sharing this with everybody. And it's true. Like you can have all these tools too. And the thing I tell everybody is your life is still going to be 50-50. That's what my coach, Brooke Castillo, taught me, like in her program. I went to the life coach school. She's like, your like life is always going to be happening.
Hmm.
The difference is when you have tools and you can manage your mind, you don't have to have a miserable experience really of anything that happens in your life. Even
Yeah,
when circumstances are sad or, really, really rough, like you get to decide how you want to experience these things when you have the capacity and the mental, it's not even like strength, but you just have like these tools
hmm,
to experience everything differently. And the value of that, I mean, just in my own life is crazy.
hmm,
And I just love hearing other people say, like, yeah, I still have weeks where like maybe I spiral out or maybe like things are tough, but you can always kind of pull yourself out of that and still find a way to not continue to spiral or not to have such a rough experience, which is really cool.
exactly. Yeah. And and I even see that like spilling over in terms of like the language that I have with my clients,
Hmm.
like and so that's been helpful too, to be able to help navigate like some of their struggles and challenges that they, those patterns that they keep coming in and discussing, and being able to, just like you've done with us, to be able to like help them become more mindful about, okay, well, what is it that's coming up? What is this feeling that's coming up? And there's nothing wrong with this.
Hmm.
And how do we get to, we do it as a group, but also, when we're getting coached by you, there's still that one-on-one feeling. And so being able to also kind of, replicate that in a sense with clients. And it's just been so valuable, I know, for them too.
Yeah. And I like that's the whole point, right? When we do our work as the therapist, then we're able to, like when we do our own personal work, then we're able to, in the therapeutic role, really help our clients understand what's at stake if they don't get treatment from an
Hmm.
unattached place, right? Like you just deliver facts to them and you're able to ask them really good questions and really understand what their problem is and what their fear is. Like most of
Hmm.
them are afraid they're not going to get better, right? So they almost don't even want to try because that like fear of this next thing not working out is so scary because then what, right?
Hmm.
And it's almost like, yeah, but what if you do get better and you're willing to try it? And that, when they opt into that, that's where the magic happens. And I mean, the things that happen with our patients in the treatment room are crazy. Like we're so lucky to get to do that.
Yes. Yeah. And to be able to witness that, And I'm sure that you probably feel this too, like as we come in and we have these wins and we're overcoming our fears. And being able to see that same thing happen with clients when, when they come in, when they're having, they get through, third or fourth session and they finally come in and they're like, oh my gosh, I had the best sleep of my life. Or, I got into my car and I just felt things like really shift in my body. And it's like that starting point of like, okay, well, this is like such an amazing beginning. And there's just, it's almost like it doesn't end from there. It just continues to grow and expand.
Yeah. And you're not surprised that they're having these outcomes, right? You're like, yeah, like this is what happens when we work together. I have the same experience, like for my coaching students, when like, I know what's possible, right? And people come in like burned out, really confused. Maybe they're getting ready to leave their job and they're really scared. They're intimidated by social media, or they're intimidated by having a website or online booking, like whatever it is. And I'm kind of like, yep, and it's going to be fine. And like people are like so overwhelmed or like upset. And then all of a sudden there's this breakthrough where everything they're working on just starts to work. And they're like, oh, like someone booked online. Now I have 5 clients next week. Now I have 10. Now I've had my first 5K month. Now I've had a 10K month. And it's just like, yeah, that's the whole point. Just like when your clients get better with MFR, you're like, yes, this is the whole point.
Yes, exactly. And it's amazing how quick that can happen too. Like I've seen it happen in both. And that was kind of like a really, I don't know, it was just a really great discovery to be able to take the 2 sessions. I had a 3-month break in between, or 4-month, and to be able to see how the first time I was able to create that flow and how the second time it was the same thing.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, I got this. And to be able to see even just throughout, so it's been a year since I took my first course, and to be able to see how these practices have become like more and more ingrained. And
wow, it's been a year already. That's insane.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Tell me, like, so you had your business for 3 years prior to coming to coaching, right?
No, I had it for, gosh, I think it was like a year
A
and a half.
year. Okay. So
Yep.
how does this year compare to that other year in business?
It's hard to compare because well, first of all, I simplified things so much, in terms of just my scheduling, in terms of my pricing, being able to really create a schedule where I have more space. So I'm not feeling like I'm so overwhelmed and I have to take 18 clients a week. I've really been able to scale down and conserve my energy. And that has been helpful. So I've been able to focus on, getting out and just marketing and talking about the business. I would say those are huge, but I mean, obviously too, just my income, like I went on a 2-week vacation in Costa Rica.
I love
and
it.
It was so amazing. And I paid for it all by myself, which is like, I planned for it. I was able to like really like tap into like a lot of the work we've done in terms of like planning our schedule out 6 months to a year in advance. And so I was able to do that and had probably one of the best trips I've ever had. I went with a girlfriend,
That's so
who
cool.
also had a private practice, who I've also, she's not an MFR therapist, but she listens to all your podcasts. And she has, I'm not joking you, like she's opened up her own practice with the help of the coaching I've got from you and from the podcast.
That's amazing.
So we took this in kind of celebration together. And I got back and I had an amazing last 2 weeks of April, and May is going to be another like over 10K month.
That's so cool. What are your thoughts about like the ability to create 10K months?
It just feels like there's so much ease now. Like I mean, obviously I feel gratitude. I feel so much gratitude, but I also feel like, wow, like, is it possible that it can be this easy? And now I know, like, yes, it can. Like, I trust that more and more.
Do you also
That I don't
feel
have to be
like
hustling.
kind of a badass Like, are you ever like, I just make $10,000 like every month?
I
Like,
do. And I'm
I mean,
like,
it's kind of like, that's like doctor money.
right?
Yeah.
I know. And so there's a part of me, yes, where I'm like, ooh, like, do I deserve this? But then I'm like, no, like people are getting results. People like, I mean, and I think that's the thing too, is like, I look at some of my clients who have been coming for 1, 2 years, who I thought,
Mhm.
um, like in that traditional OT mindset, like, okay, we need to get them in and fix
And
the
out.
problem and get them out the door.
Yeah. Like
But when
something's
I'm,
wrong if they're still here. Yeah.
yeah. And I think you've helped me so much in being able to just allow people to, I mean, to let this be a process, but also a self-care routine for them. Like people, they come in and they might not have anything specific going on, but they just still keep coming every week, and that's okay.
Well, think about how much they're preventing by doing that.
Yes.
Like the people, like I've been doing this for myself too, is like getting a lot of therapy, even like while not in any sort of pain or any sort of like struggle. Like I'm not on the
Yeah.
struggle bus, but I'm going to just do this anyway. And I'm like counting the months of like prevention between like certain flares that I have. Right. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so valuable. So valuable not
Yes.
to have a flare and not,
So smart.
not to have to count myself out every so many weeks. So yeah, that's really cool. And the same thing goes with coaching, right? Like I think in the beginning when I developed my programs, I just didn't know. Like it's just a matter of like having to work with so many people to kind of like develop the process or whatever. Is I remember when I first did this, like I had one-on-one clients, like we'd be at the end and like it didn't occur to me to like renew them.
Hmm.
And like there doesn't ever have to be an end. Like it can just be part of your self-care for your business is to stay in or go in and out or do whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not it's not a problem. It's the same as like repeating seminars. I
Yes.
remember when I like heard you could repeat seminars and I was like, why would anybody do that? Like what is wrong with people, right? And now here I am like all I do is repeat everything cuz like you're so different when you do it the next time, you
That
know?
is so true. That is
Yeah.
so true. Yeah. Even, I mean, obviously you're bringing in new information because you're constantly learning too,
Mhm.
which is, I think, another motivating part too, to like continue this work.
Yeah.
Just seeing the constant work that you're doing and the
Yeah.
program too that you're opening up. Like I'm super excited about, because it feels like too that it's something like it can be continuous work and it can be preventative.
Yes,
Um,
preventative. Yes.
yeah.
So good. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, coaching can be preventative, MFR can be preventative, all of the things. The sky is the
Mm.
limit. So good. I was going to say something, but it flew out of my brain, so hopefully it comes back. Um, do you have any like numbers you want to share with us? Like, do you have your year-to-date income or any of that pulled? And if you don't, that's totally fine.
Well, last year, so I did finish up my taxes in March from last year, and I um I was just under 65K, which honestly, like I was so celebrating that. I mean, that's for me compared to the year before and the year before and all of that, like, and the fact that I want to come to work.
Mhm.
Um,
That's a big difference.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is a huge difference. And this year my goal is, and I feel confident too that I will hit it, is 90.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
that's
it's
so
almost double.
exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it
I'm
is
so excited for you.
exciting.
What's your husband think about that? Is he like,
Um,
this is crazy that you're gonna make 90K this
it
year?
is. Yeah. I think, I mean, it's been almost a year now of him like seeing this and
Uh,
witnessing all of it. So I think he's just, um, yeah, I think he's really happy because I think it takes a lot of pressure off him,
for
you
sure.
know?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
How does your daughter react to this? Like, because I'm assuming with more money, you guys are able to do more things or like just live your life a little bit different. Is there anything?
yeah, actually, because I'm this summer, I am choosing to work less. I'm choosing to take 12 clients. I'm choosing to work 3 days a week
Mhm.
and to spend more time to be able to go, enjoy our boat and to go paddle boarding and to go camping and to be able to do those things, but still feel confident. Like I'm still bringing in, a really great amount of money. And for the fact that if I want to, I can choose to take more clients, right? Like I'm starting to get more comfortable with, I'm working on it, but starting to get more comfortable with just having a waiting list.
Yes, that's so good. There's such like a richness to your life when you're like, I can just choose to spend the summer with my child because I want to, and my business is still going to produce what I want. And if anything comes up and I want to, I can make more money if I need to. It's that thought that you have that you're an in-demand therapist and you can just create money when you want to or you need to
Hmm.
is so empowering, and you will always have the ability to do that because that's how your brain is working now. Like you're wired for that.
Yeah.
I just create money. I'll always create more.
Yeah.
I mean, and
It
I know
is.
it's not so easy to just get to that, right? Like
No, no, it's
that
not
takes
easy.
work. Yeah. And you
It
have to like
did.
direct your brain to it. Like, oh, I can make more money. I do
Mhm.
this to myself all the time. Like I have, yeah, more expenses than ever in all of the things, right? Like more just
Mhm.
creates more. Whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, yeah, I can just make more money. Like more money is always coming through. Like I just help more people. It's like there's no need to panic about things. And I can also see like my own money journey and my own money story. Like, and I am going to constantly invest in more coaching on those things because that is one part of me that it's still like, as I expand in my business, like I still want and need help there so that I don't sabotage myself or I don't give up before I reach the full potential of what I'm trying to create.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can see that too, especially with the way that I organize money. And um, I hired a bookkeeper, which I'm super stoked for. She's been
Yes.
really helpful and to be able to really divide and, pay myself every month. But I
Yes.
still know that there's a lot of work to do in terms of budgeting and just feeling really good about spending money. I think that's something that I've noticed a lot showing up in the last few weeks is like, as I'm having, this money coming in and I have money in savings, it's like just wanting to feel really good about, um, buying those plane tickets
Yeah.
or just going on that trip and
Yeah.
not
The
feeling like, oh, I have to
spending.
make up for,
Yeah. Like
I have to
you
make
don't
it
have
all
to,
up next week.
yeah, you don't have to punish yourself for the spending it. Like the whole point of saving it was to spend it.
Exactly.
And that is like next level stuff. It's like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, like I'm spending this on purpose and it's okay for me to feel shaky about it. But like, what's it like when I don't feel shaky about spending this? That'll be like another milestone that you have.
Yes. And I feel like my husband needs to join the next group for that one too, because when
We'll have her bring your spouse to coaching day. Oh, we
oh,
should do that.
yes, we should do that on that exact topic right there.
Yeah.
Because as things are shifting in my brain and I'm starting to like have these new practices, it's like he's like, over there like just getting anxious about buying our new dog a little life jacket. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, just pull the trigger. Just
Yeah, you're like,
just
just get whatever one you want, sir. It'll be
just
fine.
do it. Yeah.
It's okay for it to be fun, honey.
Exactly.
I love that. Yeah, I was trying to think of something funny that my husband does where I'm like, just buy it. What was it? Oh, I know. Like something went out, like the entire front end of his car went out. So we had to like do like the struts and I mean, it was like $5,000. And he was like,
Hmm.
it's gonna be like $5,000. And I was like, I think you should probably just do it. Just buy it. Like, cause so your car works well. He's like, oh,
Just fall apart as you're
he's
driving
like,
down
are
the
you
street.
sure? I'm like, just it'll be okay.
Yeah.
We don't
We'll be
want
just
those
fine.
wheels coming out. And like being able to like buy safety like that, right? Like you're actually buying safety at that point because you want your car to function right and not have to
Hmm.
be like, well, we just won't take it on the interstate or we just won't travel this summer because the wheels might fall off or
Right. I'm like, we're not 17 anymore.
yeah, we're not. But it's like
Mm.
nice to actually functionally not be there.
Yes. Especially when
Sometimes
it
my
has to do
brain
with,
is still there, but yeah, it's always cute and adorable, the things that are so ingrained in us that like bring us back into like our just our pattern stories. And then
yeah.
when you have a managed mind and when you have tools, you can pull yourself out of it. You can't ever really like prevent yourself from thinking the way you think, right? Like we just let the
Hmm.
thoughts come in. We don't have to perseverate on them or make it mean anything because the thought comes in like, oh, I'm not good with money or oh, this is scary. I think also one of the other lessons I've learned from coaching around money is that the actual amount of money that you make doesn't, like, the money in your bank account doesn't actually create any safety for you. I don't know if you're
Mhm.
experiencing that at all, but I've experienced that. And I'm just like, oh, I thought once I had this amount of money in the bank, I would all of a sudden like be able to relax. And
Yeah.
it's not the amount of money, it's my thoughts about the money.
Yeah.
That always blows my
It's,
mind.
it is so true. Yeah. And I think that goes hand in hand too, like what I'm really putting into practice this time around as I'm going back and listening to just the Facebook groups
Mhm.
from past sessions and just looking at my notes and stuff is the self-care, I think, around like creating that space in between clients and being able to have that time where you can like fill up your reservoir and to be able to create that schedule where you're really feeling like good and confident about my work, because there's been plenty of times where I like find myself faced with with that same barrier of like taking on too much, and just my daughter asking me like, mom, why are we moving so fast? Like, why are we going at this pace, and it's
Yeah.
like, that's such a good question. And yeah, just being able to continuously make that a practice to slow down
Mhm.
and to
That's
really
just wise.
enjoy it.
Imagine the impact that you're having on your daughter by like doing all of this work. Like her experience of you as her mom, like with a more managed mind, who's like making thoughtful decisions a lot of time, like has this extra awareness that most people don't
Mhm,
have. Like I would
mhm.
just imagine like what is the value impact on her life long term for having this experience of you as her mom. And you're
Yeah.
not perfect, right? We're not saying we're perfect.
No. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well,
trust,
now it's like
trust, we're
kind of
not.
trying to undo some of, because she's 6 and now it's like, oh man, gosh, I have some undoing to do in
But
terms
maybe
of how
not.
long I lived
Yeah,
like
but
that.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like just exact right timing. Like I think that too. Like I have a kid getting ready to go to college and like everybody's going to be in high school after this year. And
Wow.
I know. And it like goes by like this. How am I old enough for this shit? Like what's happening?
Right?
But I just think about like, even with how messy I was in the beginning of their lives, like they get to experience from, 3 years ago to now, like me now. And I'm like a totally different person. And it's totally fine how I was
Mhm.
before.
Yeah.
Like this is much more fun and a little less crazy.
Yes.
I'm still pretty crazy, but like just a
Yeah.
little less.
But that's what makes it fun, I guess, too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They
Yeah.
love me no matter, like they love me no matter what. So
It's so true.
a thought I
Yeah.
choose to have.
Yeah.
Maybe not when they come in late after their curfew, but they mostly love
Hmm.
me.
Yeah. Self-inflicted for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I love
Okay.
it.
So tell me, like, what is was there anything that made you hesitate in joining coaching that you want to like debunk for someone else that would be hesitant to join the new program? Or like what would you say to people that are on the fence?
Mm, well, I remember I actually scheduled a consultation with you before because I knew I really wanted to take it. And I think the biggest thing was just knowing that just my income at the time and covering the cost
Mhm.
it wasn't very aligned.
Yeah.
But I don't think I really understood the um, like how much it would change everything. If I would have known that, then obviously I would have, there was no question, I'll find a way. But I did anyway. Gave me some different options and ideas on how I could go about it.
Mhm.
Um, so I would say that was the biggest thing. I mean, anytime I get an opportunity to get help or to grow, like I'm just one of those people that I just like I'll go for it.
Mhm.
But I think the money thing again is like I let that be a barrier, but I'm getting so much better at it. So um knowing that it was a good lesson. It was definitely a good lesson of just like
Yeah.
seeing, okay, well, if I do take this risk and I do invest, like what, there's some unknowns, but look what could happen on the other side of all that.
Yeah. When I think too, like deciding what you want your return on investment to be. And I don't think we're
Mhm.
always wise enough to like have that discussion with ourselves. I
Yeah.
definitely do that now whenever I invest money in a program or like invest it in myself. Like, what is the actual return on investment that I want? And how do I ensure that I get it, regardless of the coach, regardless of the programming, regardless of if like someone is annoying in the group and I can't speak their voice, right? Like, how am I going to get this for me? And going for it, just knowing, trusting yourself to get the return on investment, and also know that the support is there and like you get to do whatever you want. Like, you're not coming into this program to be a robot. That's for sure. We're not pumping out a bunch of like MFR robots that have
No,
robotic businesses.
not at all. And I feel like that's where offer like creativity with all of it too, realizing that we all have, we come from really different backgrounds and different experiences. And we really, like, I think you help us see the, like the potential of like a bigger picture, but then we get to also be the creators of that too.
Yeah.
And how we want to make that happen. So, and I don't think there's any right way or wrong way. And that's what I love about your program too, is that there's no like perfect way of doing it, and to let go of that 100% perfection is just like, it's okay. It's okay to just like go in and have it be a practice and have it be something where, it doesn't sound or look amazing, but you're just going for it, and that was a big fear in the beginning that I think I've been able to let go of a lot.
And you live in like kind of a resort town, right? Or like you live in a small town, Sandpoint, Idaho. It's not even a college town, is it?
No, it's not. It's so there's a ski mountain here, and then there's also like a big beautiful lake. And so there's kind of both. I would say, summertime it is. There's a lot of people that come up, snowbirds that come up. So it is summertime it's picks up. It's super fun and crazy.
You used to remind me, like, did it used to be a worry for you though, that it was kind of seasonal and that there would be times of the year that would be like less people there and less people for you to work on? And has that ever been a problem?
It hasn't been a problem, because really, when you think about it, it's 12 clients a week. I mean, there's over 9,000 people that live here.
I
And
love that though.
during the
You're like,
winter.
there's over 9,000 people here. Because I have other people that come, they're like, I live in a really tiny town. There's only 30,000 people here. And I'm like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
I have all of this evidence
Well,
that we do this in tiny towns, right?
yes.
Like where I started out, there was one stoplight, two in the entire county.
Yeah. Well,
And
there's
I
a
made
lot
it
of
work.
people that actually would tell me. I remember clients in my outpatient clinic that would tell me, like, I don't think it's a good idea that you go off on your own. And so there were times, I think that's probably what took me so long, was just listening to that. And then finally I was like, well, there's no other choice.
Yeah. Well, and here's a good nugget of advice. Like, don't take advice from people who aren't where you want to be.
That's really true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can listen to it, right? We don't have to be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about, but like, just let it flow through. And I've really gotten a lot better at really weighing what people say to me, like their words, as sometimes their own like fears. They're just like vomit projecting it onto me. And like, it doesn't have anything to do with me. Like, that's their story. Yeah.
That is so, it's so true. And I feel like coming from a smaller town too, where it's more conservative, there's a lot of that going on. So it is kind of exciting actually to just like do it, not as
and
like
be
a
super
way of,
successful.
Like,
you're like, not only did you do it, but you're like, not just successful, you're like super successful. You're making 90K this year.
I know, when people
working
have told
12 hours
me,
a week.
right? Yeah. Well, it's more than 12 hours, because now I'm really enjoying doing more of the admin stuff.
But I mean, like, hands-on 12 hours.
Yeah.
Of course you work hard. Like, there's no part of this where you're not working hard. Yeah. It's not, you're not just at the spa having bonbons or whatever people think.
Yeah. Well, sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you were just in Costa Rica for 2 weeks, so we can't, you have to tell the truth. It's so funny. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we wrap up?
I am really excited about your new programs, and I think it's brilliant that you're doing that, because it is like, it's so preventative. Was just thinking to myself, sweet, because there's some different things that I want to enroll in this next year. And I'm thinking like, oh, can I do coaching? I can start listening to some of the old videos and look at my notes, which is super helpful. But to be able to know that there's other options now, and it is like, it can be preventative work. because I
Yeah.
love working with you. I really love working with you,
Oh, I
Heather.
love working with you too. Yeah. I think this
do.
whole idea of it, like just being prevention, like even joining, not knowing what you want to work on, like it's safe to do that because the container
Mhm.
is so much wider now, like no matter which route you go. And
Yeah.
like knowing that, yeah, like I'm doing this as preventative maintenance, whichever program I go into, and I don't necessarily have to know what I want to work on. I'll figure it out. Like there's so
Yeah.
many options. So yeah, I'm
Yes.
excited. I'm excited. I hope to see you back.
You will.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us and for listening in as Tara and I were just chatting about all of the things. Do you want to let people
Catching up.
know where they can find you?
You can find me on my website, www.entouchholistictherapy.com. I'm also on Instagram and also on Facebook as well.
Perfect. All right, everybody go check her out. And if you're in Sandpoint, Idaho, book a session. You have online sessions,
Yes,
right?
I do. Yes.
All right.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Until next time, I will see you on another little mini-sode soon. Bye-bye.